Hi, so in this video I just want to show you um, a more holistic way to define words. Okay, so let's see. Okay, when do you actually define a word, unknown word? When you see when you're crap. Okay, so every single. Sorry for that. Okay, holy crap. Okay. Every single day you are reading articles, newspapers, magazines, and you might come across an unfamiliar word. Okay? Now, you have a choice. You can either just glide right past it and never know what that word means, or you can actually go to a dictionary and define that word or look up the definition, and if you do a good job, you'll be able to not only remember it forever, but be able to use it. And having a knowing more words. Forgive me for the horrendous writing. Okay, so I just want to tell you, if you do this on a consistent basis, because you probably run across unfamiliar words every single day. If you do this on a consistent basis, you will be able to use more words. Okay, and by the very nature of that itself, that is a fantastic tool. Because if you know more words, you can express your ideas more clearly, more effectively. You can convey your ideas more precisely to other people, and that can save a lot of time. For example, if you're giving instructions to somebody, instead of using like 30 words, you can just use the proper terminology and be more succinct, or you can convey your deepest thoughts with the utmost clarity, which is really, really rare, but effective writers do this like all the time. I'm just rambling on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to an article right now and see some unfamiliar words and show you how I look them up, and if you find it useful, then you can do it too. Okay, so let's see. This is an article I just pulled up from Time. The new website and Apple better organized it. The main attraction, though, is likely to be live streams, which YouTube says. Okay. So, I think there's two types of words that you look up. In a dictionary. Okay, I'm going to be. The first one is a unfamiliar word. Right, that makes sense. Because if you never seen the word, then obviously you have to look it up. But the second type of word is a familiar word in a new context. I think we take for granted the fact that we just understand every single possible definition of the words that we're already acquainted with. But the truth is not only does the SAT ask you to derive the definition of a familiar word out of context, but on a daily basis, I think a skillful writer will not just use rare used words, but I think he'll use common words in rarely used ways. So these aren't just all tools to take that SAT better, but in fact become a better writer. Okay, so why am I mentioning this? It's because I just saw the word beefing up. Okay, now beef is obviously cow, meat from a cow, but in this context it doesn't mean, or doesn't have, it doesn't relate to a cow at all. So let's look up, let me just clear this page. Let me look up define. Google is amazing. Brr. They use, okay, let's actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. When you see a new word, you should try to define it yourself first, because this will develop your muscles, if you will, for being able to handle new situations. If you just look up the word straight out right out of the gate, then you're depriving yourself of the opportunity of being able to define it yourself. Okay, so a couple of things, couple of clues. Context, right? You can look at the context and be able to decipher what the word means. Number two is look up the part of, you should be able to detect the part of speech. You should see if the word is being used as a noun, a verb, an adjective, an adverb, because that can give you clues. I guess those are the two main things that will help you tackle an unfamiliar word. Okay, so in this context, the main attraction, though, is likely to be live streams, which YouTube says will be the front and center in the new app. The Google-owned video site has been beefing up live streaming capabilities this year by boosting streams to 60 frames per second, enabling smoother fast forwarding. Okay, so here, beefing up. Normally beef is used as a noun, right? But here, been beefing up, it is being used as a verb. So let's look up the verb connotations, the verb forms of beef. Complain, okay. See, that is a possible definition of beef, but in this situation, no. Okay, because how do we know that? Because let's plug in complaining here. The Google-owned video site has been complaining its live streaming capabilities. Okay, if I was going to take a stab at what the word means, I would say the Google-owned video site has been beefing up its live streaming capabilities. I would say it has been raising its live streaming capabilities. It's been increasing them. Or even here, there's a later word here, boosting. Okay, beefing. To increase or to add to, okay, here. So we found the correct definition at 6B. We didn't even find it at 6A. We found it at 6B. We had to go through that entire list. We didn't even find it on Google Dictionary. We found it on dictionary.com's dictionary. So sometimes you have to go through multiple sources, but hey, now we know what beefing means. Okay. Let's find another word. Okay, Google News. So let's see, let's go to health. Okay, this is really, really interesting. Okay, so let's just read this article together and I'll show you how I approach new words. Okay, study of Holocaust survivors finds trauma passed on to children's genes. New findings is a clear example in humans of the theory of epigenetic inheritance. Okay, so right there, epigenetic. Epigenetic. Okay, theory of epigenetic inheritance. Okay, this word is being used as an adjective. Okay, now from the context, obviously it has to relate to genes, because gene is in the word. Okay, see the words like inheritance and genes up top. I would say epigenetic has to do with being passed through the genes. This is an adjective, right? Can't be genes, it has to be something related to genes, passed through genes. Okay, now let's look it up. Define epigenetic. Related to arising from non-genetic influences or gene expression. That's a longer phrase than really is useful. See, the thing is, you should always translate the definition from a dictionary into your own words, because in the end of the day, what you use to communicate are your own definitions. So always translate dictionary's definition to your definition. Epigenetic. Okay, it comes from epi and genetic. Okay, there's so many things I want to tackle. Right? There's root words. Okay, so I should